Have you ever looked at someone totally crushing a really difficult task and thought to yourself, wow, they just have unbelievable willpower? Well, welcome to this explainer, where we're going to dive right into a seriously fascinating experiment that actually proves this whole concept of willpower might just be a giant illusion. We're going to break down this wildly entertaining, kind of bizarre 3-minute physical challenge that will absolutely flip how you think about success, failure, and your own everyday self-control.
Okay, picture this. You're just sitting at a desk. The challenge right in front of you seems, strangely simple. But the real question is, could you actually survive 3 minutes of pure, unadulterated vibration without losing your mind or, well, dropping your stuff? Let's get into exactly how this quirky little gauntlet is actually set up.
So first, you carefully place these small, everyday objects into a divided desk drawer. Easy enough, right? But then comes the agent of chaos, a heavy, industrial impact driver pressed right against the outside of that drawer, cranked up to a relentless vibration. For 3 excruciating minutes, you have to hold that heavy driver with one hand and desperately try to keep the items from spilling over with your other hand. Sounds totally doable on paper, but I promise you, in practice, it is an absolute nightmare.
And what is honestly hilarious about this is watching the rapid degradation of the human mind as those 3 minutes tick by. In the first 10 seconds, we can call this the era of arrogance. Participants grab the driver super confidently, declaring they're going to test their willpower, treating it like it's a total breeze. But hit the 30-second mark, and boom, vibration phobia sets in. Those micro vibrations start tickling their joints so strangely that they develop this wide-eyed death grip. Some people just lose focus entirely, muttering things like, "My brain is resetting to the vibration," while others actually start making brrr noises with their mouths just to self-hypnotize. By minute 1, physical rebellion. Coins are rolling around and people actively have to hold themselves back from just smashing the driver onto the floor. At 2 minutes, we hit pure delusion. You literally have people pressing the power tool to their chest, laughing, pretending it's a healing vibration massage, just to cope with the sheer stress of it all. And those final 30 seconds, pure unfiltered chaos. The ones who haven't failed yet are literally pacing in circles around the room with the tool, fully transforming into what the researchers actually dubbed the driver dancer.
Now, despite all of that frantic self-hypnosis, the bizarre humming, and the desperate pacing, the failure rate is just staggering. 95% of people who try this absolutely wipe out. They either let the divider completely collapse or they spill 3 or more items out of their designated spots. The intense sensory overload, the physical exhaustion, and really just the sheer absurdity of the whole thing breaks almost everyone before that timer goes off. Only a tiny fraction, somewhere between 5 and 10%, actually survive the challenge.
So you would naturally think that those few who survived fought with incredible intensity, right? You picture them sweating, gritting their teeth, summoning up this deep, superhuman discipline. But actually, scratch that. The reality is the exact opposite. The 5% who succeed usually look entirely emotionless. Some of them literally just look bored out of their minds. There was actually this hilarious recorded instance where one of the successful participants proudly asked, "Hey, does this mean I have really strong willpower?" Only to realize that the battery on their impact driver had died completely halfway through the test. They were so detached they didn't even notice the thing had stopped vibrating.
Which brings us to a massive realization that completely flips our whole understanding of self-control. The perception is always so ego-driven, right? We tell ourselves, I succeeded because I just have incredibly strong willpower. But the reality, as this chaotic test brutally exposes, is vastly different. It's not about grit at all. The reality is simply, I succeeded due to an anatomical and environmental coincidence. This wasn't a test of mental toughness. It was literally just an inescapable demonstration of environmental determinism.
Because when we actually break down the people who succeeded, we uncover this hidden web of seemingly random success factors. Their victory was just a lucky intersection of variables. Like, did you happen to have a smaller hand diameter that allowed for a more stable grip? That's just an anatomical accident. Do you have an innately dull nervous system that just doesn't get overstimulated easily? Genetic luck. Maybe you've used an impact driver at a construction job before. That's environmental learning. What if the random drawer you were assigned was made of high-friction wood, making it way harder for the divider to slip? Pure chance. Honestly, even your breakfast choices played a part. If you skipped your morning coffee and ate a banana instead, your hands simply had fewer physiological tremors. It's wild.
And this brilliantly illustrates why we really need to stop judging ourselves so harshly. The people dropping their coins left and right aren't mentally weak. They didn't lack focus or character or drive. They simply drew the short straw on physiological and environmental conditions for this one highly specific task. Failure here isn't weak willpower.
It might literally just mean you happen to have larger hands that sweat a bit more, making a heavy tool slip. Or maybe your nervous system is just wonderfully sensitive. It is physics and biology, not a moral failing.
Now, if you are still not convinced, the definitive, undeniable proof is the condition switch. If we take those bored, emotionless winners from the first round and just tweak the environment slightly, everything falls apart. We swap out that high-friction wood drawer for one made of slippery plastic, and we slightly alter the vibration frequency of the driver. And what happens? Boom. 80% of the original champions suddenly fail, and an entirely new winners emerge from the previous pool of losers, specifically the folks whose nervous systems just happen to have a natural tolerance to that brand new frequency.
So what we're looking at here is a classic cognitive trap. It's what we call the willpower illusion. It's this false assumption that some internal, fixed trait, this magical invisible thing called grit, is what drives our success. When in reality, success is almost always a highly fortunate intersection of your environment, the tools you're handed, your unique physiology, and your momentary habits. We constantly mistake environmental luck for autonomous grit, giving ourselves a huge pat on the back for things we barely even controlled.
Just think about how ridiculous it is to claim personal credit for a coincidental alignment of the universe. It's exactly like standing completely bone dry in the middle of a thunderstorm and saying, "Ah yes, I didn't get wet because of my superior rain-dodging ability." No, you didn't get wet because you happened to be holding an umbrella, your height kept that umbrella at the perfect angle, and the wind just happened to be blowing the rain in the other direction. You are simply a beneficiary of the conditions around you.
So let me leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on today, and I really want you to apply this to how you view success in your own real world. Think about the high achievers you know, the people who are struggling, and your very own daily battles. If simply changing the material of a desk drawer from wood to plastic, or literally just swapping a morning coffee for a banana, completely changes the winners and losers of a challenge, well, who actually has real willpower? Are we all just at the mercy of our metaphorical umbrellas and morning bananas? It is definitely a humbling thought, but recognizing the actual power of our environment, that might just be the absolute smartest way to truly take back control. Thanks for exploring this explainer with me, and keep questioning those illusions around you